Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Twist Gaming. We are here live at Gen Con 2018 with full days of coverage from some amazing publishers and game designers, everybody who is out here at the convention. Convention is massive. I want to say something like 60,000 people.
Yeah, more than 60, yeah.
And we have the pleasure and the honor of being here with Levi from Daily Magic Games, who is one of the amazing sponsors for all of the coverage and content this week.
You're welcome.
So thank you. Seriously, thank you so much. If it wasn't for companies like Daily Magic who sponsored this show, we would not be able to provide you this great first look live coverage. So we are truly honored and very appreciative to have you here.
Yeah,
and
of course.
to have
We're
you as
glad to
sponsors.
help out.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so Daily Magic, the reason you guys are sponsoring us is because you make really great games, right?
That's all we do. We just make great games. There's no terrible games at all.
No.
They're all great.
Yeah.
But I mean, honestly, they're all pretty good. I mean, not even just ours. Like, most games. Yeah, games are just good.
Fantastic.
Games are good.
They're meant for
They do
fun.
what they do.
So we have a setup of a game here.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about what we have going on before we run into the board cam.
Okay. So this is Horizons. This is our newest game from Daily Magic. It's actually debuting here at Gen Con. I apologize. I've been talking for 3 days over the Gen Con crowd, and so my voice is shot. So I apologize for that. Horizons is our newest game. It's a science fiction game that's got a 4X kind of a feel.
Okay.
And it plays 2 to 5 players in about an hour.
Okay.
So it is the second of our kind of more Euro-style games. We're getting into more of a Euro-style kind of a feel with these games.
Where were you before the Euro style
We started out, the company started with Valeria Card Kingdoms was the first game that we published. And Valeria Card Kingdoms is you have a tableau of cards, and you are collecting citizens and rolling dice to activate them.
Okay.
And so it's kind of like Machi Koro on steroids kind of a thing, right? Where it's like you're doing your actions and fighting monsters and claiming domains and running your kingdom. And that was all card-driven. The entire game is card-driven and tableau building. And now the last 2 games we've released have been Sailing Toward Osiris, which is a big Euro games, worker placement Euro game. Okay.
And now this one is a 4X, and you mentioned it plays under an hour, which is kind of unique for a 4X game.
Thank you. Yeah, yeah. And I can't really say it's a complete 4X. It's a 4X style game. So the idea is I love 4X games. Like TI4 is one of my favorite games ever. And so had a hard time getting them to the table, right? And so we asked people, we said, well, what keeps you from playing 4X games? Like, what's wrong with building an empire from nothing, right? Like, that seems like a no-brainer.
A cool idea.
Of course I want to do that, right? So what was keeping people from doing that? So we got 2 answers. One was 4, 6, 8-hour play times. It's just it's hard to get that to the table. Second answer we got was some people just don't like direct conflict. Okay. They didn't like attacking. They didn't feel good about that. So we said, okay, well, if we take that feedback, can we make a game that plays in a shorter play style that still gives you that epic, empire building feel? Okay. And we could leave that 4th X out. We could leave the Exterminate X out. Okay. And that way it becomes more of a Euro kind of a game. You're not directly attacking each other. Okay. But what we did for those players that really love that is we added it in to the first expansion that's coming out soon. Okay. So if your group is all about direct conflict and you love that, you can accommodate that. You can fold that in. I can definitely see long play time being a pretty across the board dissuading factor for a lot of gamers. But the whole combative bit, I think, definitely is more of a personal play style. So that's cool that, hey, yes, more people are saying 4X, I'm not getting these games to the table because of the combative feature, but I do know that there's a lot of people that are very passionate. It's not my personal play style, but Matt's personal play style on our team. He very much so likes that head-to-head combat. So that's really cool that you're still making that available and working with the game. So where did the idea for this particular game come from? Yeah, so it came out of that. I love those games, like those 4X type games, and I love space games. And we hadn't done a space game yet at Daily Magic. We didn't have a sci-fi type game. Okay. So science is something I'm very passionate about. Sci-fi is a great outlet for that. And, there are great games like Ad Astra and these other really big sci-fi games that just don't get enough love. And so I wanted to try and find a way to, give some more love to that genre. Really, it's not like there are no sci-fi games out there. They're out there.
Absolutely.
But you want to find ones that play in a reasonable amount of time and that can engage as many players as possible. Something you can really get to the table a lot.
Okay.
So that was where it came from, was can I do that? It's a challenge to design a game that you could play in that time and still give you that feel.
When you talk about getting players to the table, how many players does this game play?
That's a great question. It plays 2 to 5 players, so it scales 2 to 5. I have it set up here for a 3-player game.
Okay.
But it scales from 2 to 5, and we could talk about how that works.
Yeah, let me switch over.
Oh, sure.
Yeah? Boom!
Boom!
Daily magic, TV magic. Look at that, guys.
Daily TV
We're doing
magic.
the thing.
The interwebs are a magical place. This is set up for 3-player game. So when you set the game up, you put a number of stars into play equal to the number of players in the game.
Okay.
So if we were only playing 2 players, just you and I playing, we would only have 2 stars. 3 is 3, up to 5, you have 5 stars out on the table.
Okay.
Each star can hold 6 different worlds.
Okay.
And so you're exploring this region of space all at the same time.
Yes, thank you.
So, yeah.
I want to stop you here for the one point. You mentioned that you really enjoyed science, and that science fiction is something that really is a great outlet for that. And I've gotten to touch a couple of these kinds of space-themed 4X games, and right off the bat, one of the things that I'm really loving is that these are sun-centric solar systems.
Right.
I see that there's so many things. Let me put a planet here. Let me put a planet here. That right off the bat, I did that. I have a sun and I have a solar system because it's rotating the sun. That's cool.
Cool.
I like little details.
Well, and so we decided, we want the worlds to be one of the things of Daily Magic that we do. We're really passionate about the games having strong table presence, that they look good on the table.
Yeah.
Right? So just because it's a Euro-style game doesn't mean it needs to be boring.
Right.
So we put a lot of time and effort into little details on the board. You can see where each star can hold 6 worlds. There's 6 little connectors. And the worlds themselves are drawn so that you kind of see where they can connect.
Let me get a close up of this.
Yeah.
Again, we've got the green screen, so my sun might be a little off. Let's see, a little.
That's not bad.
That's not terrible.
Yeah.
So this is kind of what we were talking about with the connectors.
Yeah. And they don't have to go together that way, but it's nice if they do, right? And of course, it's all abstracted. They're not all the same distance from the sun or anything. They're in various orbits, but for display on the table and table space, right? You just put them like this. So that was the idea. Was we wanted to make a game that looked good and evoked that big epic feel. So you are exploring these stars and adapting your technology so you can build on these different stars. And then the easiest way to talk about the game is probably just kind of go through the actions. So on your turn, you get to take 2 actions. This is set up as if we were going to start the game right now.
Okay.
The game always starts with a number of stars, and then each player places a world in play and gets to adapt to one of those worlds.
Okay, so if you look at my tableau over here, actually we're going to look at your tableau because that one's the one set upside down. And you would have placed the red planet, which is over here, and now you have this little icon flipped over as kind of crowning the planet on your sheet.
And so that shows that my technology is adapted to build on volcanic type worlds.
Okay.
And the reason that matters is because each world has a different economy. Some worlds each world can build certain types of structures and at different costs.
Do we have a 4th tableau?
Oh, yeah.
Because I want to be able to get some of this. I mean, I know we have it up. We have it in your player view down here for you guys at home. But let me just get some close up for that so that we can go by this. Okay.
Flip this around
so you have placed the volcanic planet right here, and then you have, and this is going to be the color matching, but that's going to be the icon over there.
Yeah.
All right. So that way I can just show off those sections as we talk about
I'm happy
them.
to just flip this around too. I don't need to have it
play upside down.
Yeah, I can play upside down. That's
backwards,
how good.
upside down.
That's how good I am. I can play it upside down. I don't know
brush
about
your
y'all.
shoulder off.
I'm good. So you would start adapted to one world type, and that lets you, it gives you the ability to build. Each world has 3 little landing zones on it.
Okay.
This one might be a good one to show up close. So yeah, so each world has 3 little landing zones. You can build your structures on those 3 spaces. So that limits how many buildings can be built there. Even though there's an equal number of stars to players, we don't own these. These are just what's out there.
It just so happens.
The only things we own are our buildings.
Okay.
So the first action I would take, explore action. So I can explore the galaxy, explore these stars, and try and find new worlds.
Okay.
So there's 6 different world types. This bag is full of tiles.
Okay.
So you reach in here and you pull out a tile.
Got a blueprint.
Each tile is
double-sided.
double-sided. Yeah. So it's 2 different world types. So you get to pick which world type you want to put into play and where you want to play it.
Question about the tiles. Yeah. Are they always white and blue?
Nope.
So it's different combinations, double-sided. Okay.
There are 2 out of the 30. There are 2 that are white and blue.
Okay.
But yeah, there's that's a great question. That's intentionally varied.
Okay.
Yeah. So like this one's white and desert. It's frozen in desert.
Okay.
So yeah, so you can choose. Do I want to add another frozen world, right? Or do I want to add an oceanic world, right? So these guys are actually adapted to frozen. So maybe I don't want to build another world that they can already build on.
Right.
Right? Maybe I want to build a different world somewhere else. And you can add it to any star. There's 6 spaces on each one.
Okay.
So when you do that, you get to take one of these purple tokens, which you might be able to see against that.
Fancy color.
So yeah, so the purple token, that is knowledge in the game, and knowledge is victory points.
Okay.
One of the themes, we all also love purple. Daily Magic games, if you see a purple token, it's probably a victory point token. Yes. Branding. So yeah, so purple is kind of our company colors too, and so if you see a purple token, probably a victory point. So you get a knowledge for that. So that's the first way you can score victory points.
Okay.
Is just exploring.
Okay.
Just explore and you earn some knowledge, and that's victory points at the end of the game.
Okay.
Okay. So that's the first thing. The second action is adapting. So we started adapted to one world, but you can take the action to learn. Now that I have an oceanic world in play, I want to spend my action and adapt to that world so I can build there also.
Okay.
And now it brings us, that's simply adapting. Then building, we have 3 different types of buildings. You have 15 buildings belonging for each player, and there's 3 different types. So the first one are energy collectors, and I can build an energy collector on an oceanic world by paying 2 resources, a metal and an energy.
Okay.
I could build a metal collector. If I was adapted to frozen worlds, I could build a metal collector on a frozen world for 1 and 1, and it tells me that on my board. And you can build colonies on any world for about 7 resources of different types. So let's say I was going to build a colony over there. So that would be a one action to build one of those buildings.
Is the information here with the planets and the resources that you're getting, are they asymmetrical with the players, or is it the same amount for everybody?
So that's interesting, and I'll come back to that. But
okay.
All the boards are double-sided. On this side, they're all the same.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, you're 3 steps ahead of me, man. All right. So so you build. That's how you build things. And that's an action. And then the next action is harvest. And when you harvest, this is how you're going to get resources back.
Okay.
So for every energy collector that you've put into play, every metal collector that you've put into play, when you harvest, you get that many resources.
Okay.
So if you're building, from the left side over when it's facing you, it'll show you exactly how many resources. You don't have to count and go like 1, 2, 3. You go, I've got 3 energy collectors in play, 2 metal. That's what I get when I harvest.
Really good.
Okay. So the collectors give you those resources when you harvest. The colonies do not. So why would you build colonies? This is for the second way that you get victory points.
Okay.
So you get victory points also by controlling the stars. So the more structures you have in a star, the more control points you get.
Okay.
So every colony is worth 2 control. Every other structure is worth 1.
Okay.
So at the end of the game, you're going to look at each star individually, count a player's control in that star, and they get either 6 victory points if they have the most control in a star, or 3 victory points if they have the second most.
Okay. Is there a third place for
There's
3 or more?
There's nothing for third place. Although if you did have 2 players that tied for second, they would each get 1.
Okay.
And if you had 2 players that tied for first, they would each get 3.
Okay.
And nobody would get second place.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So there is variable scoring on that. But that's the basic way, and that's these little tokens, we hand them out at the end of the game to help people count their scores up. Not that it's a high point game. Like 20 is a solid score
game?
in this game. Yeah.
Okay.
If you got like 20 points, that's a good score. So that's the second way you can score points. So you can explore to get points, or you can control to get points.
Okay.
Those are your two. Those are the first two. The last way that you can get points, and the last action we'll talk about, is the Conspire action. They give you these mission cards. At the beginning of the game, each player gets 2 mission cards, and each mission card describes a game state. You might want to turn that 90. There you go. So each card describes a game state, and if it's true at the end of the game, how many points you get for it. So the ones that we got up here, one system, there's a card that tells you what all the icons mean.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
So it's the back, and I'm just going to show this because I love...
Yeah, one side is scoring, and the other side is the icons.
Iconography.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
So we were lucky enough to print this game in 4 languages. So we wanted to have as many icons as possible to cut down on that language difficulty.
That's excellent.
So the first one there is a system must have 4 or more frozen worlds.
Okay.
So if you could get 4 frozen worlds around 1 star, then you would score those 3 victory points at the end of the game.
That's a pretty big... Now, are these secret?
These are secret.
Okay.
Yeah. So you keep these secret, keep them safe, and then at the end of the game, you reveal them, and you can earn points. Now, let's say you got only 3 frozen worlds around. I mean, out of 6, 4 is a lot. Out of 6, yeah. So let's say you only got 3.
Yeah.
You would not take any penalty for failing that mission. There's
okay.
It's not like it's like some games where you get penalized
for not completing your mission.
Yeah, you just get bonus.
Okay.
So that's the third. Those are the 3 paths to victory. You can explore, you can control, or you can fulfill missions.
So how many? I see that this is a pretty big stack. Are these all unique missions?
Yes, there are 41.
Seriously?
Yeah, 41 unique missions, and the missions are also, if you want to put one back on there, they're separated by player count.
So these are the 4. Oh,
yeah,
cool.
So based on how many players you have, you include some missions, leave some out. This was something, if any of you guys watched when we were doing the Kickstarter, Rado did a review, and he had gotten an early prototype, and we didn't have those printed on the cards yet.
Right.
So he was like, it was one of the problems we had with the game was the missions didn't scale. They did. He just didn't get a prototype yet.
With it yet.
The right, yeah.
Well, that's some of the things that you get with the prototypes is figuring that out. This is so cool. The artwork on them. That's one of the things I noticed was the first 2 cards was that here I have all of these various mission cards, and I mean, it doesn't look like you're repeating.
Nope. I mean, there's some themes, but no, there's no duplicates. It's 41 unique cards.
That's cool. Oh, you can't see him. He's green, but he's
green.
Adorable. That's cool. Okay.
So those are the 3, and that's the 5 basic actions, right?
Okay.
You explore, adapt, build, harvest, and conspire. And you do that, you take 2 actions at a time until somebody builds their last colony.
Okay.
When that happens, the game ends immediately.
Okay.
And the reason for that is it makes you pay attention to what's going on. You have to watch what other people are doing.
Oh, so it's not a last turn, it's an immediate end.
Correct.
I've built my last colony.
Game's over. Yep. So you have to be watching it. Say when somebody gets down to their last couple of colonies,
you know that the game's going to... Okay.
It's kind of like when you play Dominion and you get, like, some people start taking those point cards and you go, oh, the game, like, turned a corner here. I know when somebody builds their second colony, the game has kind of turned a corner. I need to start preparing for the game to end soon.
That's real quick. You're 2 out of 5 colonies.
Yeah.
Well, because
5 colonies, that's it.
And I mean, it was really cool. We went through a lot of the actions, and what I really like is something that's got a good quick reference guide to it, and right here on the player tableau. And this has got a pretty nice little, hey, here's what my actions are, here's what the explanations are, and it's got, hey, take any 2 actions, mix and match.
Yeah.
I need sometimes.
It also says, if you look here, it shows.
Place your last colony on a planet to trigger the end of the game. Game ends immediately.
That's all right there on the board. Yeah, we really put a lot of time into the graphic design and the information to make sure players can really play the game right out of the box and kind of feel confident in what they're doing. So all that is the basic stuff. So I've told you the basics of the game, and you've probably seen some of these things before in other games. What I haven't talked about are these alien ally cards over here. So the alien allies, there are 5 different stacks.
Okay.
Each one is a different species. So there are 30 unique alien cards in the game. Is that the wrong color ones? We'll see if we can.
These are the green ones. Yeah.
There's green in all of them. You can flip them over because it's the same on the other side. I'll explain why that's a thing. Is that any better?
A little bit.
So the all of your alien allies are unique. There's 30 unique allies. And each one of them has a specialty. They're really good at one of the 5 actions. So when you take the adapt or the conspire action, you have the option of taking the top ally from any of the 5 stacks.
Okay.
When you do that, you add it to your tableau.
Okay.
You can have up to 5 allies in your tableau. By themselves, they do nothing.
Okay.
But when you take an action, like if I take this explore action, I do everything it says on explore. Plus, if I have one of these Olo allies,
which one am I looking for?
any of these are the same. It says whatever one you want.
All right,
yeah. So this icon in the corner tells me they're tied to the explore action because it's the same icon as on your board.
Right.
And that means when I take that explore action, I can do everything it says on my board. Plus, I can pay 6 metal to gain 2 knowledge, which is 2 victory points.
That's cool.
Right?
Is that for every turn?
So I do that once. This little green arrow tells me after I do it to flip it over.
Okay, and then what do we have
it goes back in your tableau.
Okay.
It's the same power on both sides.
Okay.
So later I take another explore action. I do everything it says on my board.
But I get an X.
I can do this again. Now it's an X. The X says go back to the bottom of the deck it came from.
Okay.
So what that does is you can only exploit your allies so many times before they peace out, right? They're done. They're out of here.
Yeah.
But mechanically what it does for the game is it means nobody can monopolize a combo.
That's cool.
Yeah, so you can use it a couple times and you put it back in circulation.
Josh is really good about playing games and finding those cool combinations and then exploiting them.
Yeah.
So it's kind of nice for a player like me who's playing with him to know that he's kind of got that limit.
Right. And you'll see that combo. Yeah, he still gets to do it. You'll see it. He gets to use it a couple times and it goes back, and then later when that card comes up, you like, I'm going to grab it and I know how the combo works, right? So yeah, so it allows that to kind of spread around the table. What these allies do for the game, they are really key to making the game time shorter because they supercharge all of your actions.
Okay.
They turn those 2 actions, from these 5 basic actions into much bigger things that you can do. So what it does is it allows you to go from nothing to empire really fast. Right.
So I have to ask you a question now because and granted the only card I saw is something that ramped up the victory points right off the bat because of the exploration. Is the colony placement the only end game condition?
It is. Yeah,
so
that is the end game.
If nobody's placed in this colony, you can go and go and go until somebody's like, all right, game over.
So so players can decide how long the game's going to be. But ideally, what you want to try and do is end the game when you think you've won it.
Absolutely.
That's hard to do because the mission cards are secret.
Right.
So you don't have perfect information. So that makes it a little more difficult, but you can have a good idea. Like I said, 20 is a strong score. So if you're figuring out and you're like, well, it looks like I got about 23 points, I'm going to go ahead and end the game. I know I'm going to be in a good place, maybe not win, but I'll be in a really good place.
Oh, that's exciting.
So you were talking about some of these, like this one is you pay knowledge to gain. You can flip it over if it will show better. You can pay 1 knowledge to gain 4 mission cards.
Okay. Oh,
right?
That's cool.
And you can have up to 5 mission cards in your hand. If you ever have more than 5, you discard down at the end of your turn.
Okay. Randomly or your choice?
You get to choose which ones you discard. Okay. Yeah. But I mean, like this one's pay 2 knowledge to get a bunch of resources.
Okay.
Pay knowledge to build a building so during your adapt action, you could build.
Okay.
Right? Which you normally can't do this kind of stuff. So that's the kind of stuff. These guys just supercharge your actions and make them much better. And like I said, there's 30 unique aliens. They all have a different power. But along those lines of these guys are really good at building.
Right.
Because they're the allies that build stuff.
So yeah. So they all seem to be the same races, but each individual alien is different. Talk to me.
Each stack is a different species, yeah.
Let me what about the world that got built for this game? I'm looking at the characters and the player mats and the aliens, and I love a good story in a game. I feel like there's a story here.
Yeah. Well, I come from an RPG background. Like RPGs were my first love. I started out playing D&D and Champions when I was like 14. And so, role-playing in story is important. The fact that the game makes sense is important, right? Like you said, when I was first talking about the game, we found these stars and we're rushing to fill them in, right? Yeah. There's a story there. So it definitely matters. And I can tell you, these Ghetto, the Ghetto species, they're hives. Every card is like political hive. And you flip to the next card, it's a commerce hive. So they're like hives of gaseous nanite creatures, right, that exist. And so you can tell by the art, that's what they look like. And they're very adaptable, being gaseous nanite creatures. So they're really good at helping your adapt action be more valuable.
It's always good when you've got a theme that matches with the mechanisms of the game.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got the Harvest, and this may not be great because of the greenish color, but the Harvest allies, these guys are like big green Wookiees.
They're so cute, though. I'm really mad that they're not.
They're big green Wookiees.
Look
yeah,
at my
you're
big
gonna lose it there.
transparent ones.
But yeah, they're big green Wookiees, and they're really good at harvesting. Like, that's their specialty, is their harvest action. So they make that action just supercharged, make it better. But yeah, so they definitely have a story. You asked earlier about identical boards, right?
Yes.
So the boards on the one side is identical. The other side of the boards, you have that green one?
Ta-da!
The other side of the boards, and I'll show it out here
Yeah.
as best I can. The other side of the boards are all asymmetrical.
Maybe down.
Maybe down here?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there we go. So the other side of the board is all asymmetrical. So this is the other side of the green board. These are the Nara. They're another aquatic species like the Olo.
The planets are gone.
Yeah. So these guys, they need so much water. They can't build on desert worlds or gaseous worlds or volcanic worlds at all.
Oh, that's cool.
But they start the game already adapted to arboreal, frozen, and oceanic worlds.
Okay.
So the adapt action doesn't work for them, right? Because they're already adapted to all the worlds they can live on.
Okay.
So instead, in that place, they have a welcome action. And the welcome action lets them ally with the Olo, the other aquatic race, easier.
Okay.
So story-wise, right, it make they're aquatic, they get along. It could have been anything, but it's that way because the story makes sense.
Yeah.
And the other cool part is that you still have the adapt icon.
Right.
And so that allows you to trigger the Ghetto allies that have that icon. So you can have this asymmetrical experience. It was important to us that the asymmetric sides play differently, but that they're not better. It's not the basic and the advanced side.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And that allows you to play, each player can choose which side they want to play on, and they all play together just fine.
Oh, so you could play with something that's with all of the planets, and then you can choose to have another player play on the other side of the board, depending on just what you're really interested in.
Yeah,
the
and
giant
so
eyeball.
these are the Quillian. They're like a parasitic species. So they have a totally different planet economy. Ooh, trying to find a good way to do that. So normally you would spend most of the time. No, it's not going to show up at all. Oh, there you go. Most of the time you spend energy and metal to build collectors.
You got to spend victory
the
points.
The Quillian have to spend knowledge because they're parasitic. So they can only build where other people are.
Okay.
So they spend knowledge, like they have to learn about your world before they can build next to you. They have to learn about your faction.
That's really cool.
Yeah, so they have a totally different economy, and then to make up for that, instead of the normal harvest action where they pull from what they've built, they have this leech action, which I'm going to fail to.
Right here.
Oh yeah, there you go. The leech action, it lets them, they can choose a star in the game, and they can draw resources from every collector around that star, no matter who built it. So it makes up for that way. You know, it makes up for that system, for that difference in the way they play. So all the races, all the different human factions on the basic side have the identical economies and actions. And then you have, on the other side, all of the...
More alien species.
Yeah, there are these different alien factions, and they have some different actions and economies.
And that makes sense now with the iconography, why that's so important, that you're not tying your allied aliens to a specific action type. You're tying it to a specific icon because that icon is not the same for each one of your various factions.
Yep. The icons are all the same, but not necessarily the word or the type. Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool.
So yeah, that was all part of making it as player friendly as possible, right? We want you to be able to replay it as much as possible. It drives me crazy when I buy a game and I play it a few times, and every time I play it, I'm teaching it. So I always have to play the basic version of the game. I never get to use the cool bells and whistles. So we wanted that to not be the case, where you go, I'm teaching you to play, and you play on the identical side. I'm going to play this other. It's a little different way to play, but it's not better.
It's not right. It's not going to give me an edge. It's not going to give you an edge.
Yes.
It's just different.
It's just different. Yeah, it's just different. Just alternate ways to play the game.
That's really cool. Can I get a time check? I'm good. Do you want to play around?
Oh, sure. Yeah, we can do that.
That was my...
So if we start, normally you'd start the game with nothing built.
Okay. So talk to me. I noticed that we had the resources. So we've got.
So you start the game with 2 energy and 2 metal and 1 knowledge.
Okay, so here are my metal. This is my energy. Oh, it's yellow. It's terrible.
Sorry.
No. It's not your fault. And
we didn't design it to play on green screens.
What were you thinking?
Failed.
I mean, you were accessible
Failures.
everywhere else.
I don't know.
And then we've got my knowledge. Okay, so I've got my 5. All right. Now I have this is a card that we didn't talk on, and this is the Exploration League.
So everybody has the same starting ally. Everybody starts with a starter ally to kind of kickstart your game machine, to get the game engine moving.
Oh, that's cool. He's got, like, I was looking at the little communication
You
device.
might get it better on the other side. Yeah. So we got to talk about the art, the Miko. Yeah. He did all the art for this. He's the guy that did all the Valeria art, Raiders of the North Sea. He's done several games. He was great when we were prototyping the game. We were getting ready to go to a local convention, and we were going to have it on the table to prototype. And so we reached out to Miko, emailed him, said, hey, have you ever done aliens? Would you be interested in drawing some aliens? And we gave him some descriptions of some of the aliens we were thinking about using. And like 3 hours later, he emails us this poster, and it was like horizons and like profiles of all these aliens. He's like, is this what you're thinking about? We're like, printed it and used it at that convention, like on the table. We put it up.
This is how much I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I have to ask you though. So, did he do the art for both the cards and the tableau?
Yes. Yeah,
really?
He did all of the art. Yeah.
Okay. I asked because the style looked a little different. Really?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that the factions. The reason the factions are a little different. It's the cards will be in the game no matter what you play. Right?
Okay.
When you look at some of the alien factions, like they're still super
have that
detailed.
same kind of look to them. I think
part of it is the backgrounds are all black, and so that uniform black background can maybe wash out some of the details. But yeah, we could have made a better choice about that maybe. But
I didn't mean to nitpick. I was just asking.
It's fine. Yeah, so it was all done by the Miko. Like I said, he even drew the stars and the worlds, and then we have a great graphic designer, Dylan, who help make all this work. And then, of course, my partner Isaias, he has a art design background, so he knows how to make these things work. It's fantastic.
That's really awesome. It's really sad when you see a game that has all of the best intentions and then it falls short in the user
execution.
Yes.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah. So, all right, I want to start from the beginning. I'm so excited.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Okay. So we each are going to place a planet. We're going to start with the 2 planets here. All right.
Let's put them all in.
Go on in.
So we'll just play 2-player. We'll leave that player out. We'll just play 2-player. So the only difference between the 2-player and the other player counts is instead of scoring area majority by star, you score each world majority. You get 1 point for each world you have majority on.
Okay.
And that's to keep the 2-player game scoring nice and tight. Make it work well. So yeah, so we start like this. This is the last thing we would do in setup is determine who was going to go first.
Okay.
I'd be happy if you want to go first.
Yeah.
So you get to draw a tile, and then you get to pick which side you want to place it.
So do I want the invisible planet? It's a new addition, guys.
Yeah.
Or the oceanic. I like the blue.
So the oceanic, you can only build energy collectors there.
Okay.
The arboreal, you can build either type, but it's more expensive. So
Decisions.
Yes.
I'm gonna take the arboreal.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you have to place it on an open star, which right now is both of them.
Is on open.
Yeah. So now you get to adapt to arboreal for free.
Okay.
So I drew arboreal and frozen. So I could also place an arboreal world on this and adapt to arboreal.
Okay.
Or I can decide, I'll go, you know what, I'm going to build a frozen world on this star. And I get to adapt, the second player, I get to adapt to either arboreal or frozen.
Oh, that's neat.
And so if we were playing 5 players, right, the 5th player can choose from 5 worlds that are out there.
So you get a really nice option.
Yeah, you get a lot more options, but you don't get to go first.
Right.
First player doesn't get as many options in setup. So I'll do that, but I'll go ahead and adapt to frozen because I could build metal collectors there, and that's pretty good.
Okay.
So now that's it. We're set up, ready to go. We've got our starting resources, our starting allies, our worlds. We're adapted to them. And so you get to take your actions. You can take any 2 actions you want.
I can mix
from that
and
list
match
of 5. Yep.
Okay, so let me get my icon chart out here so that I can catch up. I think that I want to do. Do I want to do? Oh, analysis paralysis for
The only thing that wouldn't make a lot of sense right
days.
now would be to harvest, because you don't have any
anything on
collectors.
there.
So that wouldn't work so well.
What
Oh,
I
we
put
also were
up
supposed to start with 2.
Oh, my secret missions.
Yeah, and they're not going to be balanced because I'm not going to go through it right now. But normally you would take out all the missions that were not 2+, because we're only playing 2-player.
All right, so if I
So
draw
if you
something
draw a mission
that's not,
that's crazy, just discard it and draw another one.
I'm gonna put these back and just see.
Yeah,
I'm gonna mulligan it.
that's cool. I'll join you. Yeah. All right, I am going to go through the deck because now it's making me crazy. We'll sit here and
But
shut and go through half the deck.
But that's fine because that's, you've got so many different missions here of that nature. So I have one of my 2 secret missions, and okay, so that's cool. So that helps me in deciding which actions that I want to take.
That's one of the reasons you start with those missions, right? One, it gives you some direction. It helps players know kind of what they might want to start working toward right from the beginning.
Okay, so I only have 2 energy and 1 metal.
Yes.
Or I have 2 energy and 2 metal, and I'm going to use that on the arboreal, which is a little bit more expensive, but I'm going to use that to build, and I'm going to build an energy collector, because if I'm building on arboreal, they have a little bit more of an energy cost. So I'm going to take this one open hexagon. Is it hexagon? I don't know.
Yeah, they are hexes, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Good call.
And I'm going to put that right there. There are my 2 energy and my 1 metal, and those are going to go back to
the energy collector is an octagon, but the space is a hex. You're absolutely right.
I thought that looked a little off. Let's see, you draw my second one, and
there you go.
there you go.
Now they're all. So this is all the 2+.
2-player ones.
Yeah.
It's still a pretty decent sized stack for a 2+.
Yeah, still a good stack out of 41.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to explore for my first action.
Okay.
So I'm going to randomly pull a tile out. I've got gaseous or oceanic.
Okay.
So they both are good because they both can build energy on those.
I think I missed my second action.
Oh, you sure did, because I'm a cheater and I jumped ahead of you. Sorry.
That's fine. Okay, so
I was excited to take my turn.
So excited, you know what you want to do, and you're going to move. Okay, so now that I've put something, can I harvest from it this turn?
You could, yeah. You could harvest right now and take 1 energy from the supply and recoup some of the cost of building that
I think I'm going to have to do that, because anything else that I was going to build is I'm going to need the energy for.
Sure.
So the other thing here was I could activate a world to take a mission. No, an ally. I can take an ally.
So here's the thing, right? Like, you want to build.
Yeah.
Right? So maybe you want to adapt to a new world type. Maybe you want to adapt to Frozen or something that'll come up later. Just to get that ally, since you know you're going to be building, you take a build ally so that when you take that build action, it's better.
That's a good idea. I think I'm going to do that. I would like to do that. I would like to take the activate the world. So how do I activate a world?
So when you adapt to a world, you just take one of these markers
Okay.
and flip it there to show that you're adapted to that world type.
Okay, so I'm going to do the Frozen type.
Nice.
Yes.
So the guy on the top here gives you 1 medal for every medal collector you have in play.
Okay.
So since you don't have any medal collectors in play, maybe this guy isn't the best ally for you.
Right.
But you know you want to build ally.
Right.
So you do have the option to bury the top card, but then you have to take the next card no matter what it is.
Okay.
Which is pretty good, actually.
All right, so I'm going to take that one.
You add that guy to your tableau.
I took Iron Hand here.
Yeah, Iron Hand for sure. So he lets you pay 1 resource of either type
to build a metal collector.
Which is great, because normally it would cost you 3 to build a metal collector.
Okay.
On an arboreal world, but you can do it with this guy for 1.
Okay, and now I took the adapt action.
Yep.
Which means that the Exploration League ally comes into play.
Yeah, you could totally use him if you wanted to. If you do that, you would flip him over, so you would choose 1 world that you're adapted to, 1 world type you're adapted to.
Including the one I just adapted to?
Yes, including the one you just adapted to. And then you would gain 1 resource for every world in play of that type. So right now, it would only give you 1 resource, so maybe not the most opportune time to play it, but hey, I'm not the boss of you. You do what you want.
No, I think I'm going to do it. I mean,
do it.
Right? Because he's just going to flip over.
Yeah, he's just going to flip over and stay in your tableau, and you can do it again later.
I already pulled a build guy.
Yeah.
All right, so no, I'm going to use him.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to gain 1 resource for every world that's in play.
So you pick a type that you're adapted to.
Okay.
And either one. It's going to get you 1 resource either way.
Arboreal.
Yeah. So that gets you 1 resource of your choice, either metal or energy.
I'm going to take
an energy.
Energy. See how confident I am?
Yeah.
All right, yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So that was your second action.
2 actions are done.
Nice.
It is your turn, Levi.
Good work. Okay, so now, like I said, before I was interrupted, I'm going to No, I'm just kidding. Well, I will take
rudely interrupted.
I'm going to explore. So when I explore, you go into this bag, you pull a random tile.
Okay.
So this time I got frozen and desert.
Okay.
Worlds. I'll go ahead and continue the frozen world. I can place this on either star.
Why, Levi? Is that your secret mission?
So I will place this here. So I have another frozen world here. Whenever you explore on your board here, it tells you draw a world, put it in play, and then gain a knowledge.
Okay.
So I'll gain a knowledge token, add it over here. Then for my second action, I will. I'm also going to adapt, but I'm going to adapt to oceanic worlds.
Interesting.
No, you know what? I'm going to adapt to gaseous worlds.
Because it's purple?
Because it's purple and purple's awesome. Even though there's no gaseous worlds in play, I can go ahead and adapt to that.
Okay.
Right?
All right.
I'm betting that I can pull a gaseous world later.
All right.
We'll see.
We'll see.
And so when I do it, when I adapt, I get to take an ally. I will grab one of these Olo allies. I like.
So what is it?
Guys.
What's going on with the Olo allies?
So the Olo, they are good at exploring.
Okay.
So that means it kind of is a tell to you that I'm probably going to explore soon, right? But I'm not going to take that guy on top and do the same thing you did.
Okay.
Skip that and take the next one.
And what is the next one that you got?
This guy is an Olo Dignitary. So the Dignitary lets me gain an ally and 2 mission cards when I take the Explore action.
All right.
So yeah, so he'll make my Explore actions even better next time. So that was my 2. I explored and I adapted.
Okay, back to me?
Back to you.
All right. So then I am going to... What am I going to do? Do I want to... No. I'm going to do lots of things. That's what I've decided I'm going to do.
All the things.
I'm going to do all the things. I'm going
That's
to...
the thinking noise.
It's my thinking noise.
It's a good thinking noise.
I'm
Bird
going
Wars.
I'm going to build on my frozen planet
Yes.
with a 1 energy and a 1 metal.
Yeah.
And I'm going to place one of my metal collectors on that frozen planet right there.
Nice.
There you go. And then for my second action,
And now when you did that,
yes, I can activate
you
Iron
could,
Hand.
you could, but you don't have any resources now to do it. But yeah, you could have when you take that action.
All right. So then I'm going to harvest.
Nice.
So I have an energy collector and a metal collector.
Yep.
So I'm going to get 1 of each.
Correct.
Awesome. That's what I got.
You are on it. That was your 2, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So for my second action, or for my second turn, my first action, I will go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and explore again because I like to explore. And that I got. Oh, I didn't get a gaseous world. I gambled and I lost. I got volcanic and frozen.
Yeah, which one are you putting down?
I'm gonna keep the frozen train rolling. So I'm gonna put that frozen world in play, and that earns me another knowledge.
Okay.
And I can use my dignitary that I got last turn, and he will give me an ally. So I'm gonna take a harvest ally. I'm not gonna take this one though. I'm gonna take the next one.
Okay.
So I get a harvest ally to add to my tableau, and I get 2 mission cards. So I will draw 2 more mission cards. Now, if I had drawn to where I had more than 5, I would have to discard down.
Okay.
To 5.
But you have 4.
But I have 4.
Okay.
So I'm still good. And then for my second action, I will build. So I'm going to spend 1 and 1 to build a metal collector on this frozen world. Whenever you build, whenever you share a world with another player, that's a good thing. We encourage that in this game. Each of us gets a free resource of our choice.
Okay.
So I will take
right.
energy. You take what you want.
Energy as well.
Nice. Welcome. Nice having you as a neighbor. So that was my second action. We shared that world. Now, because we're playing 2-player, we're also now tied for who controls that world. We both have 1 control over that world.
We're tied for now.
Your turn.
All right. Well, I got the 5-minute wrap up.
Yeah, and that's, like I said, you start really slowly. You start with almost nothing. By turn 4 or 5, you've got a nice little empire.
Yeah.
By turn 10, you have an empire.
I think that this is fantastic.
Thank you.
I've had a lot. This is... Levi, thank you so much for coming on the show.
It's my pleasure.
To show us this game. It's a lot of fun. I'm a little sad that we got the 5-minute wrap up because I kind of want to play longer.
No, I get it.
So this is really cool. So Levi, where can our audience go to learn more about Daily Magic Games?
Yes, so you can come to dailymagicgames.com. This game is actually available for pre-order right now at dailymagicgames.com. So you'll get it the same time retail stores get it if you buy it from us, and obviously buying direct from us is the best for us. You can also get it at your local retailer. We're in distribution all over the world. Like I said, this game is going to be published in 4 languages, so literally anywhere in internet land you can buy this game. You can also get it if you're here at Gen Con. You probably, if you're at Gen Con, you can get it on the floor. We actually had 120 copies air shipped out to sell for Gen Con. We underestimated demand and sold half of them in the first half of Thursday.
Oh, wow.
So we had to stop selling them or we were going to run out.
Oh, wow. So have you rationed them
So
per
we've been
day?
rationing them out every day, and they've been gone in the first hour every day. It's the problem to have, but and it's super flattering. It's so great that it worked out that way. Because we didn't expect that. Obviously, we didn't bring that many. So
it's a lot of fun.
Thanks.
Awesome. And as you guys all know, this stream and all this week's streams are sponsored by Daily Magic Games. Thank you so much for joining us for our continuation of Gen Con 2018 coverage. We will be continuing on in just one moment. But for now, Levi, thank you so much.
You.
And thank you to
great.
Daily Magic Games for being really great sponsors.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.